It is a Saturday morning. You are standing in your kitchen with your coffee, looking down at the same tired tile floor you have been looking at for 15 years. The grout has gone dark. There is a cracked tile by the stove that catches your sock every time you walk past it. Last week, you finally called a flooring company, and a young fellow with a clipboard walked around your kitchen for 10 minutes and handed you a number, $3,800, for one room. So you thanked him kindly, and you closed the door, and you went right back to living with that floor. Now, how is it that a man who plows behind 2 Belgian horses is about to tell you that young fellow's job is one you can do yourself over a weekend? Because the gray vinyl planks he wanted $3,800 to install click together like a wooden puzzle right over your old tile with about 5 simple tools. Our son John and I laid that same kind of plank floor in the Diati house where Katie and I live, and it took us 2 days. Stay with me to the end, because the one thing that decides whether your new floor lies flat for 20 years or buckles up like a wave in the middle of July is not skill, and it is not fancy tools. It is one small thing you leave out on purpose all the way around the edge of the room, and almost every beginner makes the mistake of filling it in. I'm David Yoder. I'm 63 years old. I'm old order Amish, and my family has worked the same Lancaster County soil for better than 200 years. I've spent my whole life building and mending things meant to outlast me and Katie, and I raised 8 children and 31 grandchildren in houses we kept up with our own 2 hands. Our son John runs the farm now, so I finally have time to sit here on the porch and show you how we do things. Now, folks hear the word flooring and they picture a craftsman's trade, years of apprenticeship, a truck full of equipment, and in my Diati's day, that was closer to the truth. My grandfather laid oak floors with cut nails and a hand plane, and every board had to be persuaded into place. But the vinyl plank in the boxes at your hardware store is a different animal altogether. The factory already did the hard part. The edges are milled so one plank locks into the next like a tongue into a groove, and the whole floor floats on top of what you already have. No glue. No nails going down into it. What the flooring companies are really charging you for is know-how, and the know-how fits in your head in about 12 minutes. People sometimes ask me what makes something the Amish way, and I tell them the Amish way isn't a list of farm chores. It's a way of doing anything at all. Slow, simple, honest, and built to last. A floor is a fine place to practice it. So today, I'll walk you through the whole job. The tools, the preparation, the first row, the cuts, all of it. And hold that thought about the edge of the room, because that little secret is the whole reason this works. And I promise it is not what you think. Now, what I'm showing you today is one page out of a manual Katie and I put together called Save $6,000 a Year, the Amish Family Manual, because these old ways of doing your own work were never written down anywhere, and somebody ought to. It isn't a book about becoming Amish. It's a book about keeping more of what you earn. Katie. And I wrote down the plain methods our families have run for 200 years, the heat, the water, the pantry, the garden, the household, and the quiet thrift underneath it all, step by step, with the materials, and the dollar amounts in the order a real house needs them done. Families using it are cutting up to $6,000 a year off the bills without changing how they live. The manual is $17 right now, marked down from $47, and one afternoon of doing your own work instead of hiring it out pays that back many times over. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. Good, now set the phone down and let's talk about your floor. First, the tools. You need a tape measure. You need a sharp utility knife with fresh blades. You need a carpenter's square or any good straight edge. You need a rubber mallet. And you need a bag of 1/4-inch spacers from the flooring aisle. The little plastic wedges that cost a few dollars. That's 1/4 of an inch. And I want you to remember that number because it comes back at the end of this video in a big way. If your doorways are fussy, a small hand saw helps too. All of it together runs you under $40, and every piece of it will still be in your toolbox doing honest work 20 years from now. Fancy breaks, simple lasts. Second, the preparation, and I'll tell you plainly, this is where the whole job is won. The floor you can see gets all its good looks from the floor you can't. Start with the baseboard trim along your walls. Work a flat pry bar behind it gently. Pull each piece off slow so it doesn't split. Write a number on the back of each piece in pencil. Set them all in the garage in order because they are going right back up when we're done. Now look at the old floor underneath. Vinyl plank is a forgiving fellow, and it will lay right over old tile, old sheet vinyl, or a wood subfloor. What it will not forgive is a floor that isn't flat. Take a long, straight board and lay it across the room in a few directions. Anywhere you see a gap under that board deeper than 1/4 of an inch, fill it with floor patch from the hardware store. There's that 1/4 inch again. A high spot gets knocked down or sanded. Shallow grout lines in tile are fine as they are. Then sweep the whole floor. Then sweep it again. My mom swept her kitchen twice a day her whole life, and I never once heard her complain about her floors. There is a lesson in that. Third step, and this one costs you nothing but patience. Bring your boxes of flooring into the room where they'll be installed. Lay the boxes flat on the floor. Now leave them alone for 48 hours. That is 48 hours, 2 full days, not 1 night because you're eager. Go fishing, put up some tomatoes, whatever suits you. Now there is a reason for those 2 days, and it is the very same reason as that secret at the edge of the room I promised you. Both of them are coming at the end, and once you hear it, you will never skip this step again. Fourth, planning your first row, and here is where a little arithmetic saves you a heartache. Measure the width of your room in inches. Divide that by the width of 1 plank. If the number left over at the end would give you a skinny sliver of a plank on the far wall. Anything under about 2 inches, then trim your first row of planks a bit narrower so the first and last rows come out close to even. A floor that ends in a sliver looks like a mistake, and it is a weak joint besides. Choose the longest, straightest wall in the room to start against. Set your 1/4 inch spacers against that wall every couple of feet. Lay your first row of planks against those spacers with the groove edge facing out into the room, just like the paper in the box shows you. Take your time getting that first row dead straight. A crooked first row leans on every row after it, same as a crooked fence post. Fifth, the laying itself, and this is the part where you'll catch yourself grinning. Hold the new plank at a slight angle against the row before it. Set the long edges together. Lower the plank down flat, and you'll feel it click home. Tap the end joints snug with your rubber mallet on a scrap block. Never swing steel at your floor. Now, your seams need to stagger, so the end joints of one row never line up with the row beside it. Keep those end joints at least 6 inches apart from row to row, and farther is better. 6 inches, remember it, because lined up seams are the second fastest way to ruin a floor. When you need to cut a plank to length, measure it and mark it with your pencil. Lay your square on the mark, score the plank hard with your utility knife 2 or 3 passes. Then bend the plank over your knee, and it snaps clean as a dry stick. No saw, no dust, no noise. My grandsons fight over who gets to do the snapping, and I understand it because it is the most satisfying sound in home repair. If the cutoff end is longer than 8 inches or so, start your next row with it, and you'll waste almost nothing. Waste is a kind of disrespect to the tree and the dollar both. So, to gather that up, angle, click, lower, tap, stagger your seams 6 inches, and score and snap your cuts. That is the whole trade, friends. Sixth, the doorways, which is where beginners sweat and needn't. Don't try to cut the plank into a fancy shape around the door casing. Do it the way trim carpenters do. Lay a scrap of plank flat on the floor against the casing. Rest your hand saw flat on top of that scrap. Saw straight through the bottom of the casing. Now slide your real plank underneath the casing, and the trim swallows the edge, and it looks like the work of a man who charges $3,800 for a truly odd cut around a pipe or a corner. Cut a piece of cardboard first until it fits, then trace the cardboard onto your plank. Paper is cheaper than plank. Measure twice, cut once was not invented by a fool. Now, you have your floor laid, and it looks wonderbar, which is our word for wonderful. And this is where I keep my promise, because remember, that small thing I told you to leave out around the edge of the room, those quarter-inch spacers you set against every wall were not there to help you line anything up. They were holding open a gap, and that gap must stay open at every wall, every cabinet, every doorway, a quarter of an inch all the way around, forever. Pull the spacers out, and here is the why that nobody at the store explains. Vinyl moves. When the July sun comes through your kitchen window and warms those planks, every one of them grows. Just a hair, and a whole room full of hairs adds up to a floor. That gets close to a quarter-inch bigger than it was in January. Your floor is floating, and it needs somewhere to go. Leave the gap, and it breathes in, and out with the seasons for 30 years, and you never know it. Fill that gap, caulk it tight, or worse, drive a screw or a nail down through a plank to pin it, and come the first hot spell that floor has nowhere to go but up. It humps in the middle of the room like a wave, and there is no fixing it. But tearing it out, and those 48 hours of resting the boxes, same reason. Those planks came off a cold truck. Resting lets them finish their swelling and settling before you lock them together, instead of after. Now you nail your numbered baseboard back onto the wall, never into the floor, and the trim hides that gap completely. The floor stays free underneath, and nobody ever sees the secret holding the whole thing together. The old ways aren't gone, they're just waiting, and this one is as old as wood itself, because my daddy left the same breathing room around his oak floors 100 years ago, for the same reason, and that gap costs you nothing but the knowing of it, and it just saved you a torn-out floor and thousands of dollars. There is a whole manual full of that kind of knowing why, written out plain, Katie. And I put every method in Save $6,000 a year, the Amish family manual, with the materials and the dollar amounts, the way we'd tell a neighbor over the fence. It is $17, down from $47, and the bills it goes after come back every single month, whether you read it or not. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So there it is, friends, 5 simple tools. A flat, clean floor, 2 days of resting the boxes, a straight first row, staggered seams, and a quarter-inch gap you never, ever fill. Tell me in the comments what you'd like to see done the Amish way next. Anything at all. I read every single one. And come back next time, because Katie is going to show you the 2 pantry ingredients, about 40 cents worth, that she mixes to clean and shine these floors better than the $8 bottle at the store. And the reason it works is the vinegar most folks are using wrong. That's how we've always done it, friends. Live plain, live well, and God bless you now.